What's up, everybody? Welcome to Changing of the Hip Hop Guards podcast. I am half of your hosts, Journalist Sincere. That's my partner, Uncle E. And tonight we have the pleasure of speaking with West Coast Frankie OG. Thank you so much for joining us.
What up, y'all? What up, man? I appreciate y'all. You know what I'm saying? It's mutual. I thank you guys too for having me on the show.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
I feel it's imperative for the heads out there to get in tune with you if they haven't already been. For those who may not know where you were born and raised, can you take us back and give us a little brief overview of growing up in that area?
Definitely, man. So I was born in Moreno Valley, California. And at a young age, about like 5 years old, I moved out of Moreno Valley and actually moved to an area in California called the High Desert. You know what I mean? So it's cities out there like Victorville, Apple Valley, Hesperia. And I, as a kid, I jumped around from city to city. Like mom's was moving around a lot just because of financial situations and things like that. So I've kind of been all around Cali when I was younger. You know, even at one point I moved to Northern California for a year, came back and was in the IE High Desert area. So that's kind of where I went to, like elementary school, high school. I went to a lot of different schools. So I wasn't really in one general place for a long time until about like a little bit after high school. I settled down out in Riverside. So that's where I reside now in Riverside, California. And it's like home to me because I know the area so well from just being around when I was young and being born about 30 minutes away from here. So that's what it was like, you know, as a kid, and just that's where I was at, you know, moving around a lot, and yeah, all around California.
So what do they refer to exactly when they say Inland Empire?
So Inland Empire, I think, is just it's an area in, like, I would say it's right in between like the desert and LA. So it's the middle ground from like Vegas to LA. It's right in between Vegas and LA. You know what I mean? It's the halfway point. You know, so you got mountains out here. It's a lot of trees and you know what I mean? You got ranches out here too. You have a little bit of everything, because then there's even spots where I'm from, right here in Riverside, that's like they have a downtown area, and then we have areas that it's just like way out the way, secluded. People have ranch homes and farms, and I think it's dope living in the IE because I'm 30 minutes from the beach, 45 minutes away from LA. I can go snowboarding 45 minutes away during the winter. I can go up to the mountains if I want to. It's in the middle of everything. So I enjoy living here, man. It's dope.
Yeah, that sounds like you got the best of all the world.
Hey, thanks for rubbing it in, man. I told you we out in the Midwest and New York, man.
Because I feel like everybody from California gives the IE area kind of a bad stigma because it's not Los Angeles. But me personally, I think it's a lot more peaceful than Los Angeles. People are on a different pace here, and that's why I enjoy it, because when I'm home, I like to have peace. I feel like when I lived in LA, I didn't have no peace when I was at home because of the time and just the timing that everybody's on. You know what I mean? I get it. We got to get to it. But, you know, I like to be peaceful when I'm at home.
Right. So can you take us back a little bit and, you know, talk to us about growing up, and how was that for you as, you know, before you got into your teens? And then also, at what point in time did music, you know, start to play a role in your life?
Okay, for sure. Yeah. So, I mean, when I was young, I feel like I was always really, really influenced by music because of the diversity on both, like, my mom and my dad's side of the family. The first person to introduce me to hip hop was my dad. And the first, like, song I remember ever hearing was Why You Bullshitting by Sugar Free. You know what I mean? Because my dad, back in his day, he was around Pomona and stuff, and he was like, you know, he was friends with Sugar Free and their people and stuff like that. So he was bumping their stuff when we were young. So that was like the first taste of hip hop that I really got, was my dad playing old school hip hop, West Coast shit. You know what I mean? On my mom's side, it was really influenced by like R&B, Mary J. Blige, Keisha Cole. She would even take it into like Journey and stuff like that. So I feel like my musical taste has always been very diverse as a young kid. And I feel like music started to influence me when I was really young, because I remember when I was 7 years old, that was the first time I asked my mom for like a radio and like my first CD. And it's crazy because the first CD I asked for was an Usher CD. let it burn. So I'll never forget that. You know what I mean? I just was like I was really wanting to like learn the dance moves and how to sing and just loving the way the music made me felt as a kid. I always remember that, and it inspired me as a young kid always. But I never thought it would come to this at that age, you know what I mean? Because I played sports, I was skateboarding, I did so many other things too, but music was always a part of that. Music was a part of everything I did when I was getting ready for a game, getting ready to go to skate park. While I was skating, it was always music and new music that I was looking for, this new sound. And it was always like underground, gritty sound that gave me that like, yeah, this is what I rock with right here. You know, when I was young, I was listening to like Raider Clan, Young Simi, all that, like Florida stuff when I was young. So I think I just I've always been inspired by the hip hop sound as a youngin.
So
it wasn't until about like 13, 14 that I started like freestyle rapping with my homies. You know what I mean? You get to kicking it with the homies and you know, y'all just freestyling, they smoking, drinking, you know, because I always kicked it with older homies. So I think that's what really started that spark for me to be like, damn, I'm actually like good at this. Like I could do something, because the homies always wanted me to rap. They always, hey, bro, bust another freestyle, do this, do that at the parties and everything like that. And so it just kind of grew on me, and it just became a hobby of mine to freestyle, just throw on a beat when we was chilling, chill, smoke, freestyle, chill, smoke, freestyle. And this was just an everyday thing for us. You know what I mean? Me and my high school homies when we got into high school and stuff like that. So yeah.
So would you say around that time, once you started practicing doing your freestyles and displaying it, did you guys ever form like a group?
Not with the people that I was like first like in high school freestyling and stuff with. Because I remember when I was 15, my freshman year, I put like my first freestyle out on SoundCloud off like a desktop with like my headphones in, and I did it to like a Young Simi instrumental, and I did it a couple more times after that, and then that was it. You know what I mean? And I didn't release anything till I was about 18 or 19. That was like, yo, this is my first official track. This is what I'm going to do. I had already decided like, yo, this is the path I want to take. And I just never looked back from there. But in between that, in between me dropping my first official song and now, I was a part of a couple groups that just kind of, you know, they just, you know how it goes, man. You guys think that you guys have a vision, and you guys just grow apart. Your visions become different. People give up. You know what I mean? And you know, so yeah, I was a part of a couple, but nothing like that was like mentionable, or you know, just
right.
homies that call themselves something. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. What type of response did you get from that first joint you put on SoundCloud?
What type of what?
Response, like, you know, when you uploaded that first song to SoundCloud, I'm sure you were going back and checking to see like what the numbers were doing.
For
you know?
sure. And it was funny because it was a freestyle, like, you know what I mean? Like it was a freestyle to like some trap beat that I just like, I was like, all right, let's do it. My homie was like, dude, just come record it. Like, you got to start somewhere. I was like, you're right, bro. Let me just start from my SoundCloud. I'm just going to start dropping. I'm going to get in the studio. I'm going to freestyle this shit because this is what I do. At the time, I was like, I wasn't writing raps. I was just getting in the booth and just freestyling. If I didn't like it, all right, let's redo it. If I didn't like it, all right, let's redo it. So that's how I started recording. And then to answer your question, when I dropped that first song, I was definitely going back and looking at what people were saying. And the one thing I could always remember what people were telling me was like, oh man, here, another rapper, another SoundCloud rapper. And it was all people that I went to high school with, because this was a little bit after high school that I graduated. You know what I mean? Oh, Frankie wants to be a rapper. So I got a lot of negative, but the people that were giving me positive input, I knew they were being honest with me. So it kept me going. You know what I mean? I didn't care. I didn't even care about the negative shit. I was like, man, at that point in time, I had so much fire in my belly I don't even know what it was, man. It was just the hardships that I was going through at that time and stuff to just keep going. I just had my mind set on a vision. I didn't care what it took. I had to start somewhere. And I knew once you start something, you're a newbie. You're going to have to go through everything that you know what I mean? It comes with it, man. I already knew I was prepared for the negative and the positive, to not let it go to my head, or, you know what I mean, blow my head up too much, or to discourage me to stop.
Gotcha.
But I was definitely paying attention for sure. I still pay attention today, you know what I mean? But it's just gotten to the point where it's like, you can't let it get to you in a positive or a negative way too much. You take it for what it is. You know what I mean? But always appreciate the love for sure and the negative.
Right.
Give us a little bit of timeline. What year was that first single release that you started, taking hip hop serious?
Yeah, he wants to know how young you are, brother.
I think that was in like 20. So I graduated high school 2016. I think I released that in like 2017, 2018. But the first freestyle I ever released was like my freshman year in like 2014, 2015. And that's still on my SoundCloud for sure. That's still on my SoundCloud.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. If you go to my SoundCloud, I mean, you can still see like my first couple tracks. Everything's still there. You know what I mean? I just love to see how like I've grown and the change of the sound and like really finding who I am as an artist and as a man. So it's felt good to see the growth and to be where I'm at right now, because I prayed for days like this. You know what I mean? I worked for days like this. I didn't sleep for days like this to be able to have people recognize me for what I do and what I love to do. So it really feels good, man, for real.
What was your creative process early on?
Man, I would literally find beats on SoundCloud and I would reach out to the people that made the beat and ask them if I could use it. And I was just gonna drop it on SoundCloud. And like it was just one main dude I'll never forget. His name was Donato. He was a SoundCloud producer, and he would just have so much fire to me back in that day. And I just kind of told him like, "Hey, yo, can I use your beats?" He's like, "Yeah, bro, feel free. Like, just record on them and just you're good." I'm like, "For sure." So I would just like find beats on SoundCloud. I would go through and just try to find beats that didn't have any plays, like people that weren't finding these beats, not the like, I would dig deep, find those, get on my laptop and like, convert it to an MP3, put it on laptop, upload it, go to the homie's house. And it was to the point where I think for about 3 to 4 tracks, I was just freestyling. And then I realized that I could do so much better when I take the time and sit down and just come up with the sickest freestyle, but write it down, write each bar that's sick. You know what I mean? And it kind of became that. And then it got deeper after, I started to actually dig deep within myself and try to like spread the message that I wanted to spread through what I was going through in a positive way. You know what I mean? To make people understand that no matter what you're going through, you can still become the best person that you possibly can be. You know what I mean? So that's really what it was for me at that time, just trying to inspire those around me that were listening, whether it was one person or 10 people.
Right.
Yeah.
Some of the legends out from the West Coast had places like the Good Life Cafe and Project Blow to go to. Did you have any place like that to go to hone your skills? Any shows that you did, ciphers? How was you kind of getting your style perfected out there?
I was really just dropping music on SoundCloud at the time. I didn't start doing open mics and shows until about like 2019 or 2020 when I moved out here to Inland Empire. I had already gotten a couple like interviews and podcastings when I was in LA. And that's kind of like where I met Nug Life and introduced myself to everybody in the scene and found the creative scene. Cause where I was like up in the high desert and stuff, when I started doing the music, there wasn't really that. I couldn't find it. It's such a small area. It's a desert. Not many people were even doing those kind of things out there. So I had to really find the circle and the creatives that were creating these spaces for us to come into and show our talent and perfect that. And that was later on. And that was about like 4 years ago. 5 years ago that started for me, actually, like doing shows and stuff like that.
So within recent years, then, do you have someone that has been sort of maybe like mentoring you or kind of showing you the ropes, what moves to make to try to get your music noticed by other people and stuff like that?
I think Nug Life has became that for me for sure.
Okay.
Nug Life is the first producer that I've worked with that's actually taken the time to understand what I'm trying to do, and he believes in it just as much as I believe in it. You know what I mean? So before it was just me figuring it out and just figuring it all out and maintaining what I could just off of the resources that I had and putting myself out there in every way that I could. Like, man, there was times where I was doing like 4 or 5 open mics in 1 week. You know what I mean? And I still to this day reach out to all the shows that I get booked for. I'm still doing all those behind the scenes write-ups for myself and reaching out to blogs and doing all my own promotion and stuff like that. So I would say Nug Life has become that mentor for me to really put me on and show me the real side of the business of music. You know what I mean?
Let me ask, so we're talking pretty recent, right? Like as far as from
like
when you
3 years. I would say like 3 years now.
right.
Like 3 years.
Now, you mentioned earlier at growing up, you mentioned skateboarding, you mentioned sports. Um, I'm trying to paint the picture. I'm trying to figure out, for example, when me and Sincere, when we were growing up, right? When it came to hip hop in particular, you know, we had, you would go outside and we were surrounded by, you would see the graffiti, you would see dances, there was a certain lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right? What exactly would you say is like the lifestyle that surrounds you that kind of inspires your music?
Right
Because
now,
things have changed a lot, you know what I mean, from one time to another. So I'm just trying to get like, skateboarding, that's a certain lifestyle.
that was I think the biggest thing that inspired me as a youngin', because I took that up until all the way I was like 17, 18 years old. I didn't stop skateboarding. So that was kind of what pushed me to see the hip hop scene and like the gritty side of like graffiti, because that's what got me traveling and stuff like that. Because the area that I was from, it doesn't even have that type of creative energy or that creative like spark up in like Victorville and those desert areas. They're very secluded and out the way. There's not many people even doing what I'm trying to do where I went to high school at and all those things. So it was like I was seeking all those inspirations within myself and finding them, I would say, through like, skateboarding and finding different artists that I felt I related to because of the crazy life that I lived as a kid. You know what I mean? I went through some crazy times as a youngin' just because of the life that my dad lived and stuff like that. So I was surrounded by a lot of like, I would say chaos as a youngin'. I just try to find my way out by doing other things. You know what I mean? So that's what I would say I was surrounded by as a kid, with a lot of just like crazy, chaotic, you know what I mean? Parents divorced when I was 7 and stuff like that. I lived with my mom's single mother till I was about like 15, 16 when my dad came back into my life. So it was a lot of craziness going on. And like I said, I jumped from house to house, city to city. So there wasn't really a time where I was like in one area. I would make friends and then I would move. You know what I mean? So I was really by myself a lot of the times, finding new friends and finding this. So I feel like that's why it's more recent that I found all these resources and found a way to actually get myself out there in the proper ways and get into the right spaces and get into the right rooms, get booked for the right shows, and put out my music a certain way that it's going to get to the people. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You mentioned Nug Life and meeting him earlier on. Before you guys started working together, what were you witnessing as far as his production and his workload?
Man, like I said, I would dig deep on SoundCloud for beats. And at one point, way back, like I think like before I even ever knew who he was on like Instagram or anything like that, I would listen to his stuff, and I didn't put 2 and 2 together until like I found him on social media and started like digging onto his stuff. I'm like, oh dang, this is kind of dope, because my cousin had a podcast in LA at the time called Conscious Radio. They booked me onto that to kind of, get me out there and give me a place to speak for my first time. And through them, I kind of met other people, and then I would see who they followed on social media and stuff like that. When I came across Nug Life, I was like, yo, his beats are hard. Like, who is this? So I started just digging a little deeper, because at the time I was looking for new producers to work with as well. And I realized, I was like, oh shit, I've been listening to his beats. Like I used to listen to him on SoundCloud all the time. I was like, Nug Life, that's crazy. So followed him. And at that time, he was getting ready to do his first beat dispensary, his first album, his first beat dispensary album. I had just got done recording a song with Young Simi in LA. So that was my latest release that I had put out. I sent that to Nug Life, like, yo, bro, new release, check it out, this is that. And off the strength of the feature, he hit me back and was like, yo, this is actually a pretty dope track, yada, yada, yada. Like, I appreciate you, this, and that. And I let him know, like, hey, bro, he had just posted for a listening party for that album. And so I reached out like, hey, man, I'm going to RSVP. Like, I'd like to come through and like listen to the album, link up, smoke one, like, let's chop it up. So it started as that. And, I went to the listening party. We linked up, we chopped it. It was like super dope. It was the first time I ever been to an event like that. You know what I mean? Where somebody hosted their own private listening party, and a bunch of creatives were just in the same room to come and like network. And it was first time I seen something of that nature and like of that caliber. So I was like, oh, this is dope. Like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is where I need to be. This is what has to be happening right now for me to be where I need to be. So after that, me and Nug Life got in the studio on some business. I got some beats from him, ended up recording my songs with him. I was in there for I would say like a week, dude, just working with him, working. At one point I was in there for like 16 hours with him. And we just got like, as we started working and our chemistry built, we just got closer as homies. And I started helping him with things. He started helping me, like, just events or just showing up if he needed help with this and that. It just started to become more of like a friendship and like like, bro, like, I got you. Don't even trip, bro, because I see the vision. I believe in you and you believe in me. So let's rock, bro. And he's his own individual. I'm my own individual. But when we come together, we get it cracking. You know what I mean? And I'm glad to be able to find somebody like that reciprocates the energy that you know what I mean? It's dope. It's dope. Yeah, it's dope. And it took a long time for me to find that and even the creative space that I'm in now, and the people that I know, people on my contact list, just stuff like that it feels good to be able to have found that over the last few years.
So you pretty much experienced making music and putting it out yourself on a computer, right? Or like finding some beats on computer, and then you had the experience of working with him in a studio.
Yeah, I had been in other studios before, like in Victorville and stuff, because I had worked with other producers that were letting me come to their spots and record, but it was never anything as organized, as serious, and as thorough as Nug Life. You know what I mean? When you get into a room, when you could just feel the difference and see the difference in the work ethic. You know what I mean?
Right.
The quality of the work.
Right. That's kind of where I was going. I was going to ask you, like how it felt to be in the studio with someone, and because what you said that stood out to me that's important is the vibing, right? Vibing with the person, getting to know the person, and then being able to create together.
Exactly.
Like, so, me and Sincere, we always talk about that, right? Like you hear a lot of artists that say, oh, I just, I got the beat, I emailed my verse, and, they never had that chemistry.
Yeah. Right? I'm very, very, how could I say it? Like I take my energy and my craft very, like, I treat it as a sacred thing. So if me and the person don't really vibe, if I don't know you or I have had an experience with you that was positive and like the vibe isn't right, I don't even take the time to even work, even if there's a bag involved or even if there's something involved, because it's just like, I feel like that kind of waters down an artist. It doesn't keep the rarity of that. You know what I mean? Like a Jay-Z verse in a sense. You know what I mean? He doesn't just give anybody a verse. Not anybody can just get a Jay verse.
Right.
So I kind of keep it at that. If the vibe is correct and we can create, let's do it. You know what I mean? And it makes sense for both of us. Let's do it. You know what I mean? Because it's just, you can't be wasting time or wasting
energy,
your creative energy or energy at all on things that are just,
right. Because you sound like you have a message that, like you said before, that you try to put out there to try, and if you're not connecting with the person, your message might not be authentic.
Exactly. And like, I kind of failed to mention why I had got that just switch to flip in my head at a young age, that this is what I wanted to do. I just always remember, through my hardships, and everybody has a crazy story, man. We all been through things. So through my hardest times in life that I've dealt with up to this point in time, music was the one thing that I could go to, and it just made me feel like I was not alone, because there was just always a song, or there was just always an artist that was putting music out there that made me feel like they knew what I was going through and they could relate to me. And it just made me feel so good, to the point where like I knew I could get through anything and anything was possible. So if I could be that artist for the next generation after me, that's exactly what I want to do. If I can inspire those through my music to be their best selves and to see the light in everything, that's what I'm here to do. And I know that's my purpose on this earth, is to inspire, whether it's through my music or whether it's when somebody meets me and we have a conversation. Like this Nipsey, the highest human form, or the highest like act a human can do is to inspire. You know what I mean? That's the highest form of action. So I take that to heart, and I've always that's what's lit this fire to where I'm at today. And it's still that's still the vision, that's still the message. You know what I mean? I was doing this when I didn't have anything. Now that I do have what I have and what I've been blessed to have, it's like it's not gonna stop until I'm where I know I want to be and where I need to be. Because this is only the beginning of the beginning. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
So
that's what it's been for me.
I heard you just mention Nipsey. I see you got the poster back there as well.
Guy.
Can you mention like one or two other artists that spoke to you in that capacity that you're speaking of?
For sure. When I was young, Wiz Khalifa, when he was doing like, cause it's crazy because Wiz Khalifa was like, man, he inspired me in so many ways. He was the reason why I learned how to roll doobies, you know, like it was just so many, like when his come up was different, man. Like it was during a different time. So I seen it all the way through, because back in the day, my older sister used to download music on LimeWire. And I didn't know until I got a little older that artists would upload their songs as like another artist's name that had a big song popping, right? So like say 50 Cent had the biggest song out at that time. Other artists like myself would upload their track as that name song. And like, you know, sometimes people would actually accidentally download that track or download that. And that's how I came across Wiz Khalifa and Chevy Woods. Okay. And I was like, yo, what is this? This is hard. So then I just heard him like, I was like, man, I gotta find this. Because I don't even remember what it was under or what they named, because what they put the song under. But it wasn't it wasn't Wiz Khalifa, Chevy Woods thing. Like
right.
That. And that's how I found them. And after I found them, it was just like, whoa, it was just like different. The Cushion Orange Juice dropped, and I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. So that was one of my biggest inspirations as a young man, teenager, like definitely Wiz Khalifa.
Flight School.
Yeah, bro.
Cabin Fever.
Bro, that shit was crazy when it came out. You know what I mean? I was bumping that shit. And also, so I would say my top 3 inspirations, like really, really, that inspired my sound and like that would just inspire me overall, would be Wiz Khalifa, Nipsey Hussle, and another underground artist named Teddy Andreas. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him. He's from Texas, I believe, Houston, Texas, and he dropped, I think, 2 or 3 projects on SoundCloud, and they just like went crazy.
What's his name again? Teddy what?
Teddy Andreas.
Andreas?
Teddy Andreas. Yeah, he's raw right there. He's probably one of the illest lyricists I've ever heard, for sure. I don't know what happened, or like it was to the point where he was releasing stuff and he was doing his shit, and then it just stopped, and like you stopped being active on Instagram, and just kind of, I was like, oh, I haven't really been able to find anything more, dig deeper on what happened or why he stopped. There's like a couple interviews of him that he did in between that time, but other than that, it's like, yeah, I haven't really heard anything from him, but his music is fucking crazy. I think he inspired me to like definitely take my lyricism to the next level, for sure, and like dig deeper into my mind when I'm writing music.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about appearing on Nug Life 2020. That album had a whole host of big names on it, like MED, Blue. Yep. Was that your first major platform as far as a release?
Yeah, definitely. That was definitely the biggest like feature for me at that point in time in my career, because I remember when it happened and I remember exactly how it happened, and I remember just even everything leading up to that. You know what I mean? I was working with Nug Life a lot at the time, just like on my own stuff, with beats and like just helping him, and like we were cool at the time. You know what I mean? We were really cool at the time, and I remember he was working on the Nug Life 2020, and he was getting ready to release it, and he sent out an email to like 10 or 15 artists with like 6 beats on it or like 4 beats on it. And I was included in the email, and the email said like, yo guys, working on my new album right now. You guys are just a few of the artists that I think would work really well on this. Here's a few beats. You guys, like, whoever sent it to me, like, record whoever sent it to me the fastest, or I think is the best. Like, basically like, yo, like, here's some beats. Whoever gets it to me the fastest and the best is gonna be on this shit. That's like really what it was. But he reached out in a very professional manner. And I remember when I got the email, it was like 11 o'clock at night. And I remember going through all the beats, and I heard that 2020 beat, and I was like, oh, it's over. I literally wrote the hook and 2 verses that night. Went the next day to my homie Sean's house, recorded it, and sent it back to him. When he heard it, like when I wrote it and I heard it recorded, I was like, nah, there's no way there's no way this is not gonna stick with him. Like, this is ill. I remember when I was writing the verse, I was just like, this is fucking crazy. And it was just a fire. It was just like a fire in me that was just like, yo, this is like my kind of like a time to prove myself as the, like, everybody was kind of looking at me like the underdog and like the young artist that like just came out of nowhere. Like, who is this guy? You know what I mean? And so it was just like, I gotta show him what I'm about. And I did, and like he was like, yo, I'm fucking with this. Like, somebody else sent me some shit like an hour before you, but it's not this hard. It's not this hard. Like, straight up the quality, everything, like, we're rocking with this. And it was just that's how that went. You know what I mean? And yeah, I think ever since then it was kind of just like kind of started working a lot more. He started hitting me up for more of his projects. We ended up, man, we did shows together. I did shows on my own that he was also booked on. I went to some of his shows, and you know what I mean? It just turned into what it is now, man, just by just working, bro. Like, just working, literally just working.
Has any other veterans hit you up, or you caught their attention? Anything that you've heard feedback wise from any legends out there?
For sure. I definitely was very, very blessed to be able to come across AK the Savior, and that's my friend now. You know what I mean? Like, we friends, bro. It's cool. Like, he shows love on my whenever I post or when I'm dropping music. I show love to his stuff. We're writing back and forth. I'm telling him we got to get in the lab, stuff like that. You know what I mean? And I know when the time comes, we will. You know what I mean? He's always giving me positive advice, and we've had one-on-one conversations that he's giving me game, and I've just been able to soak up. Planet Asia, that's big homie too, man. Like, he's dope. I was blessed to be able to be in a few of the sessions for him and Nug Life's project. And we were able to show him some of my stuff, and he was like, yo, who's this? And we were like, it's me. You know what I mean? And it was just dope to see his reaction off of just like the art and the music and the sound, and him saying like, we're definitely going to work soon, and stuff like that. I just recently had a conversation with Juice from
Chicago.
I don't know why I just blank. Zombie Juice from Flatbush Zombie.
Oh, gotcha.
They're from Flatbush.
Mm-hmm.
Not on anything of like, oh, we're gonna collab, but just we were at one of AK the Savior's events in Beverly Hills, and he just happened to be there, and we just started chopping it up. I went up to him and just introduced myself and let him know that I really respect what he does and everything he's done for hip hop. And we got to talking. He was like, yeah, and he mentioned Nug Life, and I was like, oh yeah, that's my boy, and we just got to chop it up about that. So that was cool to be able to show face and introduce myself to him as well. Yeah, I consider Nug Life to be in that caliber as well, just to be able to work with him and involved with him. He's coming up very, very fast and strong right now too, to be able to be in rooms and bring artists that he does to his studio is just crazy too, off of his talent and his hard work and just how thorough he is with things too. I'm learning a lot, and it's been so much to take in such a short time. You know what I mean? So it's sometimes it gets overwhelming, but I also take it for really, really like the blessings that it is. You know what I mean? Yeah, so it's dope.
I would definitely love to hear you and Evidence on the track together.
Yeah, you know what? That's crazy. Evidence. We actually were. Are you guys familiar with Veil the Wonder?
What is it again?
Veil the Wonder, Veil 9. She's she's a female rapper that's she's killing on the East and the she's from LA. She's West Coast, but she's also known a lot in the East Coast too.
Taking notes, man. I'm taking notes. What's her name?
Veil the Wonder.
Veil the Wonder.
Yeah, that's sis right there. She's crazy hard. She actually was opening up for Evidence, and she had Nug Life come DJ. So we were backstage with Fly Anakin, all his people. How can I forget Fly Anakin and Guilty Simpson, bro?
I was just gonna. I wanted to ask you how
I was like I said, bro. There's been so much that's happened in such a short period of time that I feel like I'm skipping so much of the timeline.
No worries, man. Because I was gonna ask you how did that connection come with Guilty Simpson, but
I'm gonna tell you right now, actually. So like I said, Veil the Wonder was doing a show in LA for Evidence, and Nug Life was the DJ. And when stuff like that comes about, Nug Life always calls me. You know what I mean? And like I said, that's my brother at this point, and we've grown to just, that's my dog, man. And he just makes sure. He always makes sure to put me in rooms that he feels that I should be in, man. And I really appreciate that. He took me to that show. And, I was able to be backstage with Fly Anakin, all his people. And that's kind of how we got that connection for his feature to come on the track, because I was in the green room with everybody and I was just chilling, smoking while everybody was getting ready for the show. And Fly Anakin and everybody walked in, and I'm just chilling. And everybody keeps saying, Frank, yo, Frank, yo, Frank. And I keep looking up like, yo, like, are they calling me? And I didn't realize that they're talking to Fly Anakin. That's his name. And I'm like, oh, yo, like, that's crazy, man. My name is Frank too. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, like, my name is Frankie. And he's like, what's up, man? I was like, what's good? So I started introducing myself to everybody. And, I always have bomb weed on me, bro. I always got some bomb weed. So I break out the weed, we start conversating like, hey, yeah, make sure y'all smoke this, try this out. I've been in the cannabis industry since I was like, 15, 16 years old. So that's one thing that has gotten me a lot of my connections too, is being able to relate to hip hop, cannabis, quality on both ends of that. And that kind of what sparked that situation there. You know what I mean? I made sure to take care of Fly Anakin, all of his people that night. And, we vibed out, smoked. They killed the show. Veil killed the show. It was a vibe. You know what I mean? I was able to meet Evidence, have a slight conversation with them. And that's how we got that connection with Fly Anakin. You know what I mean? Anytime they come to Cali, we make sure we link up. We smoke, we chill. So that's how we got the Fly connection. Nug Life was actually the one that got the Guilty Simpson connection. I don't know I think Guilty had just been watching what he had been doing on like social media and stuff like that. Nug Life is like, he's a hip hop head, bro. He got records. He knows hip hop history. Like he's really knowledgeable when it comes to just like, the history of hip hop and stuff. So he knew who Guilty Simpson was and had already been following him and reaching out to him on a personal level to get to working with him. And they were vibing out over, messages and stuff like that. And then Nug Life sent him the Furthest Sea track with me, him, and Fly Anakin on it. And he was like, oh, for sure. Like, I'm definitely trying to get on that. So then when Guilty got on that, I reached out to Guilty Simpson and was just like, yo, like, really appreciate that. We followed each other. And yeah, it's just been love over like IG and stuff like that with me and Guilty. You know what I mean? But Nug Life was the one that actually made that connection. with him to get on the Further Sea track.
Oh,
Yeah.
talk to us a little bit about that highly classified EP.
Man, that shit was dope. That EP was actually just like me and Noah James had been going to LA for some some cannabis sessions. He was setting up his merch and I was setting up my booth with the cannabis stuff and stuff like that. And Nug Life studio and apartment wasn't too far from there, so we would just hit him up after we would leave the session, yo, what's good, let's come through, let's link up, let's chill, you know what I mean? And he just started playing these beats for us, right? And every time we would be there, it would just be another beat. And after 2 or 3 of the tracks, we were just like, man, we're kind of onto something with this. And it just became this that whole idea of highly classified, just the bars that we were rapping, the idea that we had behind it, the cover art. It all happened so fast and organic, you know what I mean? It wasn't even something that we were oh, this is what we're gonna do, this is how we're gonna do it. We just started creating music. It sounded a certain way and we felt it. And after we got the first 2 tracks, we're all right, yeah, this is what we did. Then we put the highly classified idea together and finished it off to what it was, and then had the idea to spark the mini movie and everything that we did with that. It was just really organic and it was quick, you know what I mean? It wasn't something that we worked on for a long time or planned. It happened just by us getting in the studio and creating.
Right.
It was pretty dope. Yeah, that was one of my favorite projects to this day that I ever worked on because of the creative process that we had. We were all in the studio together. We all had input on everything. We all did our own thing, and I think everybody shined top to their best ability at that time and on the project for sure. And it got a lot of love and still gets a lot of love right now.
So the Untold Volume 1, is that your official debut release?
It is.
What's the concept behind the Untold Volume 1?
I feel as I look back on what I've released, I've talked a lot about how I feel and my emotional state and what I've been through, but I haven't really been thorough as to what I've been through and to the extent of how extreme some of the things that I've been through have been. So when I got to working with Nug Life on this particular project, I was in a state of mind of really, really trying to just heal myself through doing, the groundwork within me. And a lot of that came with me not dealing with a lot of the stuff that I had been through and not really talking about it and letting it be known what was happening a lot of the time. So I feel the Untold came from me writing music that I got way in depth of my life about, that I didn't think I would take it there. And once I started hearing the music coming together, because I was working on that project for a long time. We were creating for a long time with that. And I took a lot of time to really listen to all the music to make sure that I even was comfortable with talking about a lot of the stuff that was on there, just because it's hard for me to even speak about when I'm having a conversation. So to put it out to the public was a big kind of relief and a big part of my healing process for me personally. And I just felt it needed to be heard because it was all the untold stories that I never told everybody that was listening to my music. I never got into depth as to the stories of my life or, just events that occurred. I would slightly speak on them, but it wasn't I wanted to get into more of a storytelling mode with that album so people can kind of understand, you were telling me what the experience was and what the environment was for me coming up and why I'm doing what I'm doing in a sense. You know what I mean? The bigger thing.
What for that project in particular, what was your creative process? Where did you find yourself? What type of environment did you find yourself best when it came to trying to put that down and write those rhymes for that album?
Man, there was a lot of mushrooms and weed involved for sure. Psychedelics for sure. Nah, seriously, it was a lot of psychedelics, bro. A lot of studio time and a lot of alone time.
Okay.
I was alone a lot. Like, but I made it that way. It wasn't like, oh, nobody was there for me. No, I just wanted to be alone. And I
Right,
wanted to
right.
be out the way, and I wanted to really create something that impressed me on a whole nother level. Because it was really at the end of the day, like, did I like it? Did I enjoy listening to it? And bro, I still shed tears listening to that project to this day because of how in depth I got. You know what I mean? And like, it just feels good to even be able to have created something like that just off of like, you know, my experiences and just being able to create that. Cause like I like, I'm like, damn, like I did that. Like I did that for sure. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to give yourself a little bit of credit, and I'm not good at that. So with that, I was like, man, I really did that. Like I spit some of my favorite verses to this day on that, especially like the first 2 or 3 tracks. Long Nights on My 40, Risk It All, Free My Mind. Those are like my top 3, I think, on the project for sure. Those were the 3 that resonated with me the most.
Who's
And
Papa J. Ruiz?
Papa J. Ruiz is actually he's an underground artist that is from, I believe he's from Colorado, but he did a lot of stuff in LA as well back in the early like 2000s, like not early 2000s, but like 2010 to like 2015 with like Cypher Effect and stuff like that. I forgot what group he was from, but he was they had things pretty popping back in their time. It was like the time that like Self Provoked was coming up, Reverie, and all those underground artists in LA. But he's one of those artists that Nug Life was really, really into when Nug Life was coming up, and he just thought that we would sound really good on a track together, and he introduced us, and we vibed out, and it was cool. I listened to some of Papa J's stuff and just got to know him as a person, and we just vibed out really cool, man. And we got to creating, and I really enjoyed creating with him. He's a good dude, man. He's a really solid dude, really, really solid dude for sure.
All right, cool.
But he's another underground artist that did a lot. He did a lot. He's still working right now. I feel like, you know, Nug Life really sparked a new fire in him, and to see him back working is really, really dope.
So,
Yeah.
like I mentioned earlier, The End is how I discovered you. That single's currently making its rounds. Can you talk a little bit about that project?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. That was something that Nug Life brought to me off of just, you know, he is really, really pushing a message right now for his native people, and for everybody that falls into those struggles that, you know what I mean, all of our ancestors have to overcome, and even the inner pain that we have to deal with because of those things that are going on still till this day. And he I really don't even he's just been going crazy right now with the music and stuff, and he produced that. He already had his verse on it when he showed it to me, and it was just like he had a certain idea that he wanted to push with it. You know what I mean? He was like, yo, this is what we need to talk about. This is what I wanted to be like. And he gave me those ideas. I went in, I wrote what I wrote. We did some minor changes and some minor just some minor changes, and yeah, it was it was uh it was challenging for me in the sense that I don't really like to speak political views or on politics, because I feel like it's just a confrontational conversation no matter what. You know what I mean? Because it's very opinionated. So he challenged me with a lot of questions before he even showed me the song. You know what I mean? And the conversation kind of got to the point where it didn't get heated, but it got to the point where I was just kind of like, dude, like, okay, I understand you're trying to challenge me, but for what reason? You know what I mean? And it was at the end, I realized it was to inspire me to write what I wrote. Cause then we went to the studio and he showed me this song, and I was like, there's always a method to your madness, bro. You know what I mean? He got me hyped up and fired up to do what I did on that track. You know what I mean? He always has an idea, or he always knows how to bring the best out of somebody when it comes to working with somebody and an artist. You know what I mean? That's why he's very selective with who he works with, in my opinion, because he gets in depth with it. You don't understand it until you're like, oh damn, like he was really okay. I see what you did, bro. Like I fuck with that. Like nobody's ever done that to the point where like they bring that fire out of you, but to give so that they can get the best out of you. You know what I mean? So that's what that creative process was like. He asked me a lot of questions and my opinion on a lot of things that I was uncomfortable to even answer. And yeah, bro, it was really dope. It was dope to have that experience with him and to see just how like how in depth he can get with his creative process as well too. You know what I mean? Just to see what he did, even like hearing him spit that verse, I'm like, damn, bro, he's really stepping it up on all levels: production, mixing and mastering, performing, lyricism. Now, like it's dope to see all that too during that creative process because of how long we've been working with each other now, you know, and we give each other advice when it comes to like stage presence and lyricism and how you should record certain things, you know. It's dope, man. The creative process is like really, really thorough, especially when it came to that track. Because when I think about it, I'm like, man, he had a whole method to his madness with that one, and it came to be on. This is like my favorite song that I think we've ever done.
Yeah, fire.
Yeah, it's very dope. Very
the
dope.
cover art's crazy too. Even he came up with that whole idea. You know what I mean? The whole Quasimodo.
Yeah, like a lo-fi type.
yeah. It's dope, man. He's a beast, bro. He's a beast for sure. He's a beast, and he brings the best out of me for sure. I can say that for factuals. When I'm in the studio with him, it just brings out a whole nother animal, a whole nother beast when I'm writing and recording.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, side note, when we were talking about Papa J, was Organized Threat, is that the group you were, that?
I think that's what it was.
I mean, that's something that came up. So
yeah, Organized Threat. That's what it was. Yeah, Organized Threat. It was him, and I forgot the other members that were involved in that because I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't really around. I wasn't in LA a lot of my at all in my young years. I really involved in LA's like music. I was always looking outside of like LA. Like I listened to like a lot of Florida artists and stuff like that. And like I said, Wiz Khalifa, yeah, just a lot of different stuff. So I wasn't really in tune with like the history of hip hop or what was going on. I was just finding music that I thought was good. You know what I mean? I didn't take the time to really like get into hip hop history. Of course, I know how it started and the four pillars and everything of that nature, but to really like know artist history and what this artist did and stuff like that, I never really got in depth with too many things like that. And it's dope to have a homie like Nug Life because then he puts me on when I have questions. Like when I'm like, okay, so who is this and what did they do? Like how, like why is this person
right?
You know what I mean? And it's like when you hear what certain people did, I'm like, oh shit! Like
yeah. There's a lot of there's a lot of rich history out there,
bro. It's nuts. It's dope. It's dope.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot.
In a 24 hours day, how much weed do you smoke, bro?
I've cut down a lot recently, bro, because I've really been on a big fitness and like mental health journey for myself recently. But it used to be kind of absurd, bro. Like I would say now me cutting it back, probably like a half an ounce, maybe half zip.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to smoke like, bro, it used to be stupid. I used to blow like a zip and a half a day just cause, you know what I mean? I had so much time on my hand and shit. But now I'm just trying to be more thorough with my time. Like that blunt you see me smoking was the first blunt of the day type shit. And I'm rolling up my second one right now. I've been on the go all day. I've been on the move. So I've been trying to cut back a little bit, bro, to focus up and get my brand going and just, you know.
I was just gonna ask you have your own strand, your own
I've released a couple of my own strains with other artists like Noah James. I came out with a strain for Noah James. I haven't came out with my own strain just yet. There's a lot that goes into that when it comes to like the genetics and stuff. I'm hella picky, bro. So I just haven't even took the time to get into that yet because of how much it takes to invest and stuff like that. But one day, definitely.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Catch us up on what Frankie OG is working on and what we can expect in the future.
Man, right now I'm actually working on a 4-track EP with my boy TJ Murphy. He's a producer. He's a producer. He lives in LA right now. He has placements with Currency, Larry June, a few other artists too that my mind goes blank. But those are the first 2 artists that I could think of off the top of my head. I met him actually at a Larry June show last December, and I was there with my homie Nappy and D. Will, and we were just vibing out and stuff. We introduced each other, and we just followed each other on the gram. You know what I'm saying? And we've just been seeing what each other's been doing. And I reached out to him a couple months back because I've been planning on dropping an EP in December for some time now, and I reached out to a few different producers, but he was the producer that reached out like with the most like how could I say it? Everybody else was on some like I reached out to everybody on some business, like, yo, like I want you guys on my project. Let me know what you guys need. I'm willing to do this, and this is my budget. This is what I'm looking for. Some producers didn't reach back out. Other producers reached out, but didn't even give me the quality that he did. He literally just asked me for my number and was like, yo, I'm going to send you beats. You know what I mean? I sent him like a nice business text, like, yo, like, let me know what you need. This and this. This is what I want. This is what I'm trying to do. And he was just like, yo, what's your number? I'm going to send you beats right now. That same day, he had just dropped the track with Currency, bro.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then like my phone comes through with like 4 beats, and every single beat had a different vibe, a different sound. And it was something that I've never worked on before. You know what I mean? So it was just like, fuck it. I'm going to just take this and I'm going to make this the EP. Like, this is what it was. And yeah, so that's what I'm working on right now. So expect that. Me and TJ Murphy in December, new music videos. I'm getting ready to launch my brand, OG97, merchandise, smoking accessories, stickers, all that good stuff, man. So yeah, there's a lot that I've been working on behind the scenes that I'm getting ready to bring into the new year, man, that I'm excited for. A lot of new music. And yeah.
Let us know when you get that the merch.
No, yeah, for sure. I'm definitely gonna reach out, man. I'll definitely let you guys know when things get to popping. There's gonna be the website. Everything's gonna be up and running the way that it needs to be. And I'm excited to give the people that support me something more to support. You know what I mean? Because that's on my end. I feel like I've been lacking, so that's why I've just been trying to really hone in on the business end of things and really shake shit up.
Very dope. We want to thank you for the opportunity to get to know you tonight and everything you got going on. Before we get out of here, can you shout out your social media?
Yeah, for sure, man. Follow me at Frankie OG97 on all platforms. My website is coming soon. Spotify is Frankie OG. My iTunes, Frankie OG. YouTube, Frankie OG97. Man, shout out to Changing Up Hip Hop Guards, man.
Thank you, man. Yeah, no, I just want to say on behalf of myself and Sincere, it was a pleasure talking to you. I'm glad Sincere came across your music and introduced it to myself, man, because I like everything I've heard so far. And I'm going to check out Vel the Wonder for sure.
Oh, yeah,
I'm really interested to check her out. And continue doing what you're doing, man. I like the lane you're going in.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that, man. And I consider myself to be a student of life every day, man. So I just take it for what it is, and all the blessings that I've been able to come across now, and I consider this another blessing. So like I said before, man, thank you guys for real.
No doubt. Just one real quick, if you were able to go back in time, right?
Yeah.
You think you would have been in Woodstock with the hippies?
Absolutely. Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. Absolutely, bro. It's kind of crazy because like when people hear my music, they don't expect the personality that because when I'm spitting, when I'm rapping, bro, it's a whole different. I'm speaking to myself, but I'm also speaking to others in a way of like, yo, like we gotta get it. You know what I mean? But like personally, bro, I'm a very peaceful person. I'm a person that's trying to find his peace.
For sure.
So I gotta move a certain way for me I know for me to find that, you know what I mean? And that's just what I've been doing, bro. And it's a learning process every day. And yeah, man, you know, I
Look,
definitely,
I
would be in Woodstock with the hippies, man.
now I like your vibe, man. I really do, man.
Thank
Just
you, bro.
keep doing your thing. So,
Very
bro,
dope. Very dope. Thank you
thank you,
again.
man. Thank you.
Thank you guys, man. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep in contact, man. I'm gonna go ahead and
Absolutely.
follow Uncle E on Instagram and all the socials, man. And anything you guys need, man, you know what I'm saying? I'm here, bro. I appreciate you guys a lot. For real.
Absolutely. Thank you so
here,
much.
man. Same here. Much
Keep
blessings
doing your
to you.
thing.
Y'all too, man. Keep doing your thing, man. I appreciate you what you guys are doing for hip hop too, man. It's dope. It's
Thank
dope.
You. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All
Much
right.
love, man. Y'all stay safe.